How did you come across us again?
On the internet, as we find all things these days. You're an installer, and I always keep up with installers if they're actually using Enphase and SolarEdge and all these others. So I want to see what technology is the best. So you're not only here to talk about Enphase. I do want to sort of talk about the broader solar business,
Yeah.
what's happening in it, how's San Diego looking? Because I think you're in San Diego strictly.
Yes, we are in San Diego. We've actually started doing a few installs, just a little bit out of San Diego County. We did just wrap up a really big install up in San Juan Capistrano, which is Orange County. We are actually heading to Palm Desert tomorrow, which is out by Palm Springs. And this we're just doing it for certain clients. We try not to send the guys out to the middle of the desert when it's 100 degrees if we don't
Right.
have to.
My buddy lives in Cathedral City, and I was surprised. I visited him over the break, and I was surprised how little solar there was there. Actually, it's like raining electrons all day.
I want to hop right into that. Is the
Well,
market the
before you
market's
hop
huge.
into that, can you just tell us your name and your
I'm sorry.
company?
Hey, I'm Dave Pollock. I am the founder and CEO of SolHome. Actually, formerly We Build San Diego. So we were We Build San Diego for about 12 years. We started installing solar about 7 years ago, and it every year it just became more and more a part of our business. We were doing just like remodels, additions. We did a few custom homes, build garages, whatever, general residential construction. Right. The home energy thing out here is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And once I got the solar bug personally as the owner of the business, I am in love with it. I mean, I am just a total nerd about harnessing energy, using energy the way you can, being independent, because we have rolling blackouts here. We have earthquakes, of course. So being, resilient and having some redundancy, there's a huge market for it. I just like it. I like it. I love it. I really do. I enjoy it. I sell it. I'm still doing all the sales. I have a team of 14 people under me, managing the projects, scheduling the projects, materials, all that stuff, right? But I'm still the point of the spear, or tip of the spear, I guess you would say, right? I just really wanted to take the company in that direction. So I said, you know what, We Built San Diego, that was a cool name 12 years ago. It doesn't really say anything about what we do as far as solar or home energy storage, that kind of stuff. So we picked a more broad name of SolHome, which we did register the trademark for. And so that can work for, of course, solar. And we still do remodels. We still have a remodel division.
Are you strictly residential, or you're also into commercial now?
We are strictly residential as far as builds and remodels. We have done some commercial projects now. I did not see that coming. We did a residential project for a good client of ours. He then recommended us to do his church. So we did just finish that church project. Actually, we're waiting to get permission to operate to turn that one on here any day now. So yeah, we'll do churches. Now, as far as like bigger stuff, like doing parking lots, you see these structures, steel structures of the building. I don't see that happening anytime soon. It seems like that's it's a big project to take on. We're not that big yet, but hey, who knows? I didn't know I'd be doing a church a couple years ago.
Just for the audience, can you disclose
Sure.
any shares or any stocks that you do own related to this? Because we'll be talking about
Yeah.
SolarEdge and stuff.
I did have a position in Enphase years ago. I actually sold that position, so I currently do not have a position in Enphase. And I thought that would be good for this podcast. So, like, look, I'm not pumping this for that. I truly believe in the product.
You don't have any other solar companies in your portfolio?
I don't. I don't. What I
Like I own
personally,
Exxon and Chevron
yeah,
and
yeah. My wife and I saw an opportunity to purchase a home in Uptown Sedona in Arizona. So I actually used some of my positions as like a down payment, for that house. So we invested heavily in that community, and that happens to coincide with business. Talk about electrons raining down from the sky. I mean, that northern Arizona is, I feel it's a very, very untapped market. You want to see, Carlos, you want to say you didn't see a lot of solar in Cathedral City?
yeah.
Dude, Sedona, it's like very few and far between. In Flagstaff, there's just not a lot of them.
I just don't
So
get it. My buddy out there was
I
telling me
don't
that
know.
it has a lot to do with the utility companies.
We've only owned out there for a few months. So I'm seeing the bills that we're getting because we will rent it out. We'll do like the Airbnb thing when we're not there. I'm actually heading there in a couple of days. So I appreciate you guys let me do this now. The bills are not as expensive as they are out here in this market in San Diego as far as what they're charging you per kilowatt hour. So I do see there's not quite as much incentive to put $20,000, $30,000 on your roof if you don't have to, but it still pencils out. I mean, even at the reduced rates, you'll still get at least like a 12% return on investment.
Mhm.
Like, who doesn't want that guaranteed? I don't get it. I see it as being an untapped market. So I am actually going to do roof and solar on that house. I want to do by the end of this year because of the 26% tax credit. And I want to do a battery backup system too, because it turns out power outages are also very common in Sedona when I'm talking to my neighbors. Why is this not a thing? So I'm going to do the job. I'm going to put a sign in the yard. I'm going to have the neighbors over, check it out. And who knows, we might be doing
Well, when
some.
you're the only house lit up during one of those at night, and
It's
people are
very
gonna go, "What are
powerful.
you doing?"
What is the problem here that I'm sure this is what I'm trying to get at, even with inviting solar installers? Why is it so hard to convince people that this is a simple math problem right now with energy going up, right? But like you're saying, and you still get a 12% return, even if you're, I think, failing at it because my return is higher. I don't understand. Why can't people get it? What do you have to explain to them when you're selling this for them to understand this?
So my process is like, look, there's a couple of reasons, couple of motivations, right? Like why people do this. The two big ones are obviously return on investment, right? And the other reason is, hey, I want to do something good for the environment. But what I have found is, at least in this market, yeah, the number one motivator is, return on investment. I want to save money. I am trying to reach, more people who aren't already interested in it, because the people I talk to have already done what you did, got on the internet, found us, saw our YouTube channel, SolHome YouTube channel, see what we do, see how it works, see how happy the customers are. So it's really honestly an easy conversion, so to speak, for me to get them to buy a system. They're already in the market, right? So it's like, how do we become evangelists to those people who really don't know what it is, or just aren't exposed to it, or maybe their only experience to it? And I hear this a lot. Their only experience to solar is door knockers, canvassers, people going out and, hey, they're just high pressure sales, trying to sell you a system, fast talkers. It's all about production and numbers, right? How many sales can I close today? And it doesn't lead to a great experience, because a lot of those guys are doing, leases or PPAs, power purchase agreements, which, that's not really the best value that we found for the homeowner. What we found is just purchase a system. If you don't have the cash to purchase it, finance it. Either way, you're going to buy it. The payments on the financing almost every time are less than what you're renting the electricity from the utility, from SDG&E. So yeah, they get a sour taste in their mouth because of like this PPA thing. I'm locked into this thing for 20 years. I don't actually own the system, and they don't want to hear about it again.
Besides the people coming to you that really want solar, that's easy. Do you have people that you go to that don't know they want solar yet, and then you have to explain to them why this is a good option? Obviously, they're calling you. That's still happening, possibly, but they're not yet on board. So what is that process like, and how do you convince them that this is good for them?
And that would be for me just basically talking to friends and like neighbors of customers we've already done it for, right? That's somebody who's not already drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak, right? So it's a math problem. It's like, look, and I did actually, that reminds me, I did have a friend, and he was like, man, this juice ain't worth the squeeze. I'm not doing this, and that was a year ago. Come a year later, started looking at it again. One of his friends put it in, say, hey, this is what my bill looks like. So show them proof, right? Like, show them actual data. Like, this is how much I spent. This is how much my bill is now over X amount of years. How do you argue with the math?
What is the percentage of referrals? So let's say for every 10 customers that you install, whether they find you or you find them, how many of those translate into future sales?
That's actually our highest lead generator, is referrals. I don't think I've ran the numbers as far as what percentage of people refer us. It's got to be at least half. I mean, it's really high. It's pretty high, and now we are doing an actual referral program where, we were going to start spending money on like Google ads or whatever. It's like, okay, we're getting big enough now. There's a huge market out here still, like as you've seen, Carlos, there's still a lot of houses without solar on the roof, a lot. And like, this is not going away anytime soon. So I was like, okay, we need to do some ad spend. We have a really good process. We got great installers, certified electricians. We have a really good process down for the install. It's like, okay, I'm ready for more. I need more leads. Okay, what do? We spend money on ads, YouTube, Google, Facebook, or hey, why don't we do a referral program for the people that already have used us, already trust us, been through the process. Say, hey, you refer your friend, they sign up. When the project's done, $500.
That worked really well for Tesla
Yeah,
to get
it works.
people.
You
And no,
know,
and nobody got their Roadster. So,
yeah, yeah. I promise you will get a solar system. But
so how big is this growing on a per annum basis? And you said you've been in it for a while now, right? A couple of years doing solar. So is this 50% compounded, 100% compounded happening here? Like, what are we talking about in solar growth for at least San Diego?
for my area, every year we've grown about 50% as far as the solar side of the business. Now that's just my business.
And batteries, you mean
Yeah.
both?
Oh,
both
yeah. So batteries, I almost treat that as like its own little subcategory because it's still a little bit of a niche market. You know, that has a less monetary incentive to install. It's really hard to calculate that return on investment with a battery. You know, yes, I don't know how much you want to get into batteries. I'm sure you know how they work as far as arbitrage against time of use, and then just the vanity and convenience of having a house that works when the power's out, right? So there's like two reasons.
Is San Diego time of use?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So net metering 2.0, which is I think all of California is on right now. Yes, if you go solar, you will be put on a time of use rate plan. Yeah. But the people on people on net metering 1.0 that grandfathered out about, or it sunsetted a couple of like 5 years ago, I think they are still on tiered rates, right? Tier 1, tier 2. So they're grandfathered for 20 years. So what's really interesting is, some of these people that put their systems in here, they're already 10 years old, because they were such early adopters. I mean, it's another 10 years, they're going to be staring down a barrel of, I'm on time of use. Now it's time to upgrade my system. So, I mean, the market is huge. It's just going to keep feeding on itself. We're getting, it was super young 10 years ago. Now it's getting really mature, and now it's not just like once everybody has solar on the roofs, you're done, right? There's maintenance. People are going to have batteries. People are getting cars, chargers now, electric vehicles, and then when all the net metering 1.0 people are now no longer grandfathered, they're going to be looking to add more. It's going to happen.
What was the average watt per panel that when you were installing 10 years ago? Like right now, I don't know what your panels are, Vitaly. I think mine are 375 watt panels.
So yeah, we started 7 years ago, and those were 250s. If I remember first, and so I actually did my house first.
Okay, 250s, interesting.
Yeah,
so
I think it was 7 years ago. How much were yours?
375.
Mine's a 375.
That long ago? Are you serious?
No, I'm saying now. I did mine in 2019. 2019, I think I did it. And it was 375 watt Panasonic panels.
So you drink the Kool-Aid. I assume you installed Enphase microinverters on your roof as well, just to get that out of the way?
Before David answers that question, hit like, subscribe, and join our Discord. We will be following this interview up with conversations on our Discord as a result of what David's right about to say.
We are talking Enphase and EVs and FUV and energy just all day long. Man, there's so much information there. Join the Discord. It is totally free, but if you want to be a baller, join our Patreon, help us out. It's only $4.99 to join. Higher levels, $9.99, and also if you're just a baller, I call it the Make It Rain Superfan, $20 a month. I assume you installed Enphase microinverters on your roof as well, just to get that out of the way?
I did. So, when we started 7 years ago, so, I'll give you a little bit of my experience with the different types of inverters and why Enphase is different, why I do love Enphase products. No, we started with string inverters, started with Fronius, did some SolarEdge, and it was probably after a couple years of the string, we were getting some weird like ground fault codes where, so not only on my system, but on other installs we did where, it would kick the inverter out, and then the whole system is shut down at that point, right? And if the homeowner was monitoring, which back then you basically had to physically monitor it, there weren't a lot of automated systems to say, hey, there's a problem here, where you would like generate an email and let you know your system's not reporting. They would see, hey, dude, my system's out. It's like 5-alarm fire. I'm not making any money. Let's get this thing fixed. What's going on? So we went through a couple headaches with those string inverters, and yeah, I think it was about 5 years ago, a couple years after we started installing. So let's try this microinverter stuff. It seems kind of cool. It's all AC wiring. If one goes out, the rest of them still work. Then it won't be like this big deal. Drop what you're doing, try to figure out what's wrong with this inverter. And so we started putting them in. So the first one had a little bit of learning curve because it wasn't string. The string inverters are a little easier in the respect that you're just clipping MC4 connectors together, right? You got your optimizers. connect it to your panels, and you just string them all in series. It just click, 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 click. They go together pretty quickly. I mean, the Enphase system is similar in that, we started with the M250 microinverter. So this is like almost like second generation microinverters, and they had this big heavy trunk cable and these big fat, serial connectors, and it took a little learning curve, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. But once it was, you just weren't used to it, right? It's a whole different type of system. So I wasn't like totally sold on the first one, but like the system we never got any problems. It was like, nothing happened. It's been a month. This thing's still going.
What do you mean, only a month?
I was like, this is great. So, as you do it,
wait, but before you go on, what do you mean only a month? That's not even a long time. So
I know.
Are you telling me that SolarEdge?
It wasn't the one in particular that we had the most headache with. It was actually Fronius. So SolarEdge, I had a couple SolarEdge I did have to fix. And actually, I've got a personal beef against SolarEdge inverters. They have this giant heatsink on the back of them. I don't know if you've seen them. They're these big metal aluminum fins. They're like 3 inches. I mean, they're super sharp on the corners, like they don't machine edge them. And one of them, somebody vandalized one of the inverters on the job that wasn't made. They tried to rip it off this guy's house, right? And so it was like kind of half on there. So I started taking it off, like when I was physically still doing the work, and it actually just fell right off, and it took a chunk out of my leg. So I still have a permanent SolarEdge scar on my leg. So maybe I'm a little biased against those big, heavy freaking inverters. Besides
SolarEdge cutting your leg, I mean,
yeah. No, so we had a problem. Yeah, we had a problem with, it was doing these crazy false arc fault things. So it turns out there was a firmware update for it, but so yeah, we had problems. It wasn't very far into the install. It was like, what's going on? I thought this was supposed to just work, but the Enphase stuff just works. And then we started doing more and more of them. We just got a better system down, and they're just super reliable, And I never looked back. And then Enphase obviously has grown a lot over the last 5-6 years. I mean, they're actually profitable now, and go figure. And what's the market cap? I think it's like 23 billion. I was checking it out.
A little bit under that right now.
Is it? Did it go down again?
20 billion around. Yeah.
What's the breakdown of who decides the equipment? So what's the breakdown of jobs where you'll actually sell the customer and say, hey, I'm going to put an Enphase system in here, and how many of those customers come to you with like a system that they already want? That like, how often do they come to you and say, this is the system I want, can you install it? Versus you saying, we're going to offer you this and we'll give you price tiering and we recommend Enphase or SolarEdge for this installation?
I would say about 50-50, because half of our work, like I said, probably about 50% of our work does come from referrals. And if somebody refers us, it's typically a homeowner who doesn't know the difference between a microinverter and stringer. It's like, hey, they're just telling their buddy about it. You know what I mean? They're just like, solar's cool, great. I don't even know what Enphase is or SolarEdge or any of this stuff, right? I just thought, look, this guy's saving money. How do you do that? And then, yeah, of course, I'm going to suggest, look, we actually have like a whole sales packet where we break out all the materials we use, give the spec sheets, all that stuff. Say we use Enphase. This is why. Been around for 15 years. The stock. I mean, for me, the stock is kind of like that's the true ticker of what's the health of a company, right? Like what does that look like long term, market cap and consumer confidence in that company? Because that's everybody's question. It's like you see these solar companies just come and go. It's like, are these guys even going to be around in 25 years? I mean, seriously. But no, I will suggest at that point, like this is basically exclusively, barring a few rare, hey, I really want the SolarEdge, or I really want, we'll do some off-grid stuff where we use some stuff called Victron. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. They're actually
only off-grid, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's not, you're not going to get a permit for that. They're not like they're not listed to be used on grid out here. But it's, I'll say, dude, we got to use the Enphase. That's what my system's set up for. I love it because very few truck rolls, like after it's installed, we are giving a 25-year warranty, bumper to bumper. So the warranty will go through our company first. For some, everybody asks me, Dave, what happens? You either hit the lottery, you sell the company, or whatever doomsday hits and you're out of business, right? What happens? Like, well, you still have Enphase to fall back on. It's their inverters, the workhorses of the system. So there's a little bit of a double layer protection there.
Well, I have a follow-up to the SolarEdge. So some customer says, I want SolarEdge. Do you say no? Or, well, let me ask you the question first. Do you say no?
Make them an offer they can't refuse?
Yeah, That's what happens. It's very rare that I have a customer say, I want SolRedge. I can probably think of one time that
Even
happened.
for the
I mean,
price
you're talking,
point? Even for price considering?
Well, then that's a different question. Is it actually a price difference now at this point? Is there actually a real price difference?
from what I'm seeing out there, it's really not much, if any. Because I think when I broke it down, and I can't remember how long ago this was, it was maybe about a 5% difference. It really wasn't that much. And that's really easy for me to justify with the homeowners. This is what you get for 5% more, no single point of failure, distributed architecture, there higher efficiency, no moving parts, right? There's no fans, it's all convection cooled, 25-year out of the box warranty. It's not like you're buying a warranty like sometimes you have to with the string inverters, which is basically buying insurance, right? So yeah, that's very rare conversation. So 50% of referrals where I am educating the customer, hey, this is what we use, why? Check them out. Here's a website. Check out our videos, our YouTube videos for SolHome. And the other 50% are people who already found us, like you, on the internet. Like, hey, these are Enphase guys, right? Where we have our YouTube channel, where we obviously promote the Enphase products, and we are on the Enphase installer network as well, which is the acronym for that is EIN, is what they call it, which I think is a horrible acronym because that's the same as the federal tax ID number for businesses. Like, really, guys? That's
Enphase installer. Oh, I get it. Enphase installer network.
Yeah, Enphase installer network. Like,
EIN, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But can you answer that question about the guy who wanted SolRedge? Did you give it to him? Doesn't that, and the follow-up, does it make you do more work if there's a problem?
Yeah, because you tend to have more truck rolls. From what I've seen,
truck rolls, you mean you sending out a person?
Yes, sending out a tech to figure out what is going on. Enphase is so good about remote access into those sites and seeing what's going on from a monitoring platform system, as long as it's connected to the internet. Of course, if you have some wireless connectivity issues with the gateway, you're gonna have to go on site and get it to connect again. But no, the SolarEdge person, no, we ended up doing Enphase. Talked them out of it.
Well, I don't understand. You kind of lost me there. So I would assume SolarEdge has similar connectivity. You still have a per panel thing.
They do.
Don't they have the ability to upgrade the firmware as well? So I just want to be fair to SolarEdge, I guess.
No, that's fair. I should be truthful in saying I don't have a ton of experience with the SolarEdge. I guess you would call it their troubleshooting. From what little troubleshooting I did with them, and that was actually that time when that inverter fell on my leg. It was really hard to get a hold of somebody, when I did call in.
Oh, like picking up the phone and
yes, nobody... I'm like, hello. Like, I remember having to wait on hold. I said, man, I'm just done with these guys. I'm not doing this again.
And Enphase, what is when you pick up the phone, because we did talk about that in one of our episodes. When you call Enphase on a site, how long do you have to wait to get somebody?
It's usually right away, like within a minute.
Seconds.
Well, that was
2 minutes tops.
On the earnings call, Badri was proud. He was talking about how they shortened it down to about 3 minutes.
It's a tech on the phone, right? When you call somebody, it's a tech, not just some operator giving you the information.
Oh, no, it's somebody helping you to troubleshoot your system.
It's a tech. Okay.
Yeah, it's a tech. Level 1 tech, right?
Is San Diego, obviously, we know that California has like terrible grid infrastructure. At least we think so. You tell me if I'm wrong. Are they working with you, or they're making it hard for you to do your job?
The utility?
And what are the issues? Yes, the actual utilities that you work with.
So we primarily work with SDG&E. I think I mentioned earlier that we are doing our first job in Palm Desert, which is Southern California, Edison. I know there's tons of installers up in that territory, right? That's LA. So we haven't dealt with Southern California Edison yet, but we're about ready to. We're actually going out there tomorrow to start that job. So that'll be very soon. But, all of our installs so far have been through San Diego Gas and Electric. I would say for the most part, it's pretty easy. It's pretty smooth. We're not getting a lot of, delays or pushback from them as far as processing the net metering applications, because that's really their only part in the process. Like, after you get the system installed, you have the homeowner, sign their net metering agreement, or they can actually do it digitally through that application process. They're pretty fastidious about pushing those applications through. So I do have to applaud them for that. It's not a huge fight. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No one's slowing you down though in terms of getting this all through the system.
Only in one instance are we being slowed down, and it's a little bit frustrating. I think I mentioned we just did our first church job, our commercial job. So that church has multiple meters on one site. We're only interconnecting with one of those meters, and we did a huge 72 panel, 440 watt panels each system. This is like a 31 kW system, right? So what we're trying to do is what's called virtual net metering. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. So what virtual net metering is basically you can, if you have a church that has like 3 different buildings and they have 3 different meters, say, well, actually, so this church in particular has 2 meters, right? So they have a main church and then they have a school. We put all the solar on the school. That's only back feeding through the school's meter. But we want to apply some of those credits because it's way overbuilt for just a school. We build it to service both meters, both bills. You can say, hey, I want 50% or whatever percentage of the bills. I want 75% of this to go towards the school. I want 25% of the credits to go to the church. So you're now bringing down both bills. It's called virtual net metering. So it's our first time going through that process. And we reached out to them weeks ago and they're like, okay, yeah, so-and-so in the net metering department, they're going to reach out to you. We are emailing and calling basically every day and have that, yes, this individual knows they need to contact you, they'll be in touch. And it's been 2 weeks and we're starting to get pretty frustrated. So that's the first time we ran into basically a wall of the system's done, it's been approved, it's signed off.
It's crazy. You're
it's just sitting there.
Bureaucracy with the city.
So it's actually San Diego Gas and Electric. Can you please help us get this thing approved for a church? It's really ridiculous.
If they won't do it for a church, imagine just a regular business.
Right.
Yeah. So that is the first time we really hit a wall with them. So I don't know if that's normal for a commercial application, but residential, it really hasn't been an issue. You give them what they ask for. You give them, they just ask you what equipment you're putting in and single line drawings, and it's pretty straightforward. So, but yeah, would love to get the church turned on and maybe we could get paid for that,
Vitaly and I joked around that the purpose of this interview was to just confirm our confirmation bias, which you're doing.
Yeah.
But so that it's all not like,
thank you.
And also feeling comfortable with our investment, right? But so that it's all not, unicorns and rainbows. You as an installer have a unique perspective on Enphase products. If you could speak directly to Enphase's team, the development team, what recommendations would you give them? What things do you want to see them doing? How can they improve as a company? What products can they improve on? What products can they release?
And they watch our videos, by the way.
They do.
So you know.
They do.
Okay, cool. Well, they watch my videos too because they've actually reached out to me to use some of my content for their.
There you go. All right. So this is a chance to just speak directly to that team.
Yeah, I think they're kicking butt. I really do as a whole. But yeah, of course, if you're not looking forward, you're looking backwards, right? So there are things to improve on. The number one thing that comes to mind for me as far as a headache is making it easier for the customer to connect their solar system to their own internet. Sounds like a really basic thing, right? But that is our number one reason now for truck rolls, is the homeowner can't get the app to work. To, like I say, they get a new router, they change their password, it gets disconnected. Like literally just the gateway to their Wi-Fi. Like they cannot, it's unnecessarily difficult for the homeowner to connect to their own Wi-Fi. Like that just seems something that should be an easy fix, but maybe I'm wrong. But so we show up, we have our, go ahead.
As a side note, I had to go outside and press some buttons on my Enphase thing to connect my phone back in when I changed my
so you got it to work. You got it to work.
Yeah, I just read online and I saw how it's done, so I just did it myself. I'm not going to call the installer and bother.
But you're also not the average. To be fair, you're not the average.
Yes, right.
Not
Some
the
60-year-old grandma.
They're not
exactly. We're dealing with sometimes an older population, even younger people. They just don't want to deal with it, and then we end up, we take care of our customers. So it's like, look, we'll send our guy down. He'll get it on there for you, So that is our number one headache right now. It's just, come on, just make it easy. I mean, because, you change your route. I mean, you just go and change your, on any other device, just change your password, you change the network ID and you're done. Like this thing, it's like a whole process, right? You had to go through. So
I mean, look, to be fair, I just got one of the Tesla car chargers and it was really hard to connect as well.
Oh, same thing?
Yeah. And I have another car charger, the NLX. They're really difficult. Like, they only broadcast their Wi-Fi for the first 5 minutes after you power them up. Then you have to go to a special page. Some of it I understand, at least with the car charger, because that's something where someone could hack in. There is a loss of functionality, but with
I
solar
see.
panels, I don't see why it's so, like, what are you going to get if you hack into my solar, you know?
Yeah, I don't just mess with your neighbor or something. I don't know.
So
So that's
just to bring it back
my
to,
first thing that I would say is a big headache. That's
well, no, I think you're
but
right.
yeah,
I
in
think
the
you're
grand
right.
scheme of things, it's not that big a deal. But if I had to
Right, but
pick
is there
one thing,
anything on the product side? Is there anything on the product side that you wish you could offer in customers? Or?
as far as product, yeah, you know what would be nice, and I don't know if this is an Enphase thing. So let's talk about sunlight backup a little bit, if that's cool. So now
IQ8s?
the
You're talking about
IQ8s,
IQ8s?
yes, exactly. So the IQ8s now have the ability to do sunlight backup without a battery. They have fast enough ASICs in them, right, to do that without a battery acting as a buffer, right, which is very impressive. I mean, that's a lot of engineering, and I appreciate, the effort it took to do that. But the actual user experience and implementation of that, I feel, is lacking. For me, I was super excited when they announced they could do that. I was like, this is great. We're going to put inverters on the roof. They're going to have CTs in them, consumption transformers. It'll monitor in real time what loads are being used in the house. You won't need an interconnect device. You won't need, you won't need a backup loads panel. It'll just work out of the box. This is game changer. But then I took the training for it. And I was like, oh man, you still have to install the system controller. You still have to install a backup loads panel. You're basically doing all of the infrastructure work you would have to do anyway for a battery. And by the time you do all that work, a battery is really not that much more. A little 3 kilo, and just for $3,000 or whatever for a 3 kilowatt battery to act as a little bit of a buffer. It's so cheap compared to whatever tens of thousands these systems are. Like, why would you not do that? Because if you don't have it, the user experience is, if it's just sunlight backup, that's great. It works in the sunshine, and cloud goes over, everything shuts down. Cloud passes, turns back on again. I just feel like it's lacking. It almost seems kind of gimmicky to me that they could offer that. It just doesn't seem like a really good experience. And I'll tell you right now, no one's bought it yet. No one has bought
This
just
is great.
that.
Wait, this is good info. So no one cares to buy the IQ8s because what is the price difference for that system versus the IQ7 Plus? What's the price
we have started just now. We've rolled that pricing. We raised our prices about 10 cents, 10 cents a watt recently for increasing price, because we are going to be exclusively offering the IQ8s, because Enphase has told us. I actually got a form letter from Badri saying, hey, we're having supply issues with the microprocessors in the IQ7 architecture. Turns out the IQ8s are actually their processors are sourced from a different foundry than the IQ7 one. So they said, moving forward, basically plan on sticking with the 8s if you want to make sure you have stock. And this happened a couple years ago when they went from 6s to 7. They said, oh yeah, we'll support both 6s and 7s. Man, once they started shipping the 7s, the 6s were gone. So I'm pretty sure now, to make sure that we're fulfilling our customers' contracts, we're pretty much exclusively just selling the 8s. We have a little bit of IQ7 stock left, but I'm not going to count on it. I just want to do 8s moving forward.
So, but what is the price difference? If, let's say, I just want 7 Plus, I'm willing to wait, and IQ8s, I don't want that. What is the actual? Is it like 5,000 more for a regular system?
No. I mean, these things are only not even $30 more per inverter.
Okay, so you're talking a couple grand.
A couple grand over a big system,
Yeah, it's not that much. Yeah, and what I'm finding is, no, they don't. I mean, if it's $1,500 more to get the brand new, latest and greatest, the fastest switching, the 8th generation, that they every time they've gotten it.
There are other microinverters, right, on the system. Have you ever? I don't know if I should save this question, but have you tried anything else?
No, I know SunPower has theirs that are integrated into their modules. We are not a SunPower dealer, so de facto, I have not installed those.
So SunPower has, you're saying, microinverters integrated. I thought it was Enphase microinverters integrated into SunPower for the most part.
They were at least making, because we just did a job where we added on to their system. They had their own factory integrated microinverters. Yeah.
Can it be a white label thing with Enphase?
I was just on a job not that long ago where there was a SunPower system with their SunPower branded microinverters, attached to the back.
Okay. Maybe they have their
So
own
I
thing now because
do
I know they used to be
know,
tied up.
yeah.
But here's something I did want to show you. Let me just show you this real quick. There are different companies coming out with obviously microinverters because Enphase is doing so well. People are going to want that business. So Northern Electric
Hmm.
Power has these. We'll talk about a couple of them, but I just want to point out a few that I've found. Which one is? I'm not sure what company this is. Microinverter, whichever one. There's a bunch of them. My point being APS, and some of them have like NEP is pointing out, and I'll stop the share, but they're pointing out that they have this cool feature where they have double connection. So now you don't only have a
Yeah, I've
per
seen that.
panel, right? You have it's easier for the installer. I don't think it's better for the homeowner, but I
Hmm.
can see why installers would want to do that. Is this something that you looked into or care about maybe commenting on?
I have seen that in the optimizer market where they have those, but as far as microinverters, yeah, they're. I think I've never really taken any of those seriously, or seriously as far as a product that we would offer, because the what I have found to be the biggest headache as an installer is that customer service and warranty support. After, I mean, this is a 25-year warranty. You're going into business with these homeowners for 25 years, and we are selling a bumper to bumper, no cost warranty, labor, materials. And I just had such a bad experience with some of these, like the Fronius, it just didn't go well. The SolarEdge was, I mean, it was mixed. As the installer, as the owner of the business, we want predictable results, right? I know Enphase is going to be around. I know these new products coming on the market, these new companies that quite frankly I haven't heard of, doesn't mean they're not good. Doesn't mean they don't have amazing products. It might be amazing. I don't know they're going to be around, because what happens when an inverter kicks out in 5 years and these guys aren't around anymore? I've seen them come and go. I've seen them come and go. Do you remember the phaser batteries? Have you seen these things? Yeah, like everybody was drinking that Kool-Aid a couple of years ago. They were roof mount batteries where it was a great idea. It was a battery that mounted on the roof under the panels that plugged right into the microinverter. So it's like they put the DC battery before the microinverter. I thought it was brilliant. It was really cool, but dude, they disappeared in like, I don't know, 2 years or something. These guys that have them on the roof, you're screwed. Sorry if they break. They will.
Yeah, too
It's
bad.
electronic, so it's like I'm super, super hesitant. And I think a lot of installers are, we like what we like, what we know what works. And we don't, Enphase is so good about supporting their equipment. Like for me, I'll tell you the biggest thing that Enphase does, which I don't think SolarEdge is doing, is Enphase has employees, field application engineers in San Diego County. There are two guys here that I can send an email to or call basically any day. Hey, I got an issue here. What should I do? Boom, boom, boom. And they're super responsive. Hey, yeah, I looked in that site because it's that online monitoring stuff. Yeah, it looks like that was a one-time little glitch. It's resolved itself since. Firmware update, you're done. So there are people here, like in my town, that are Enphase employees that help us support these systems. Like, how can you beat that? These other products coming on the market, I mean, they're essentially 10, 15 years away from being able to do that. And I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to try to save a little bit of time with, okay, well, now it's a faster install if I can click 2 into 1. For how much money? For me, our biggest headache is that back end, that customer, us taking care of our customers. And, I want to know we're not going to have to pay for it. Enphase is going to take care of it,
So
as long as
the
we do our
moat,
job.
the moat of Enphase is really not the technology. I mean, I know they have the 25-year
Mhm.
warranty, but you're really saying as long as it's a microinverter with the back end, that's really what the moat is, that they can fix whatever problem and they're going to be
Yeah,
there. That's really
exactly.
it.
It's huge to us. And then we know we can offer that to our customers without hesitation.
What would a startup now that's trying to get into the business or trying to eat Enphase's lunch, what would they have to do
Oh
in
God.
order to get you to, first of all, try them out, and second of all, switch your business to primarily installing this product?
That's a tall order. I mean, Enphase has a 15-year head start. I don't know how you compete with that. What would price wouldn't do it. I don't care if you're cheaper,
Okay.
because in the long run, it's probably not cheaper if I got to go out and fix them. You know what I mean? Price wouldn't do it for me.
Mhm.
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know if there's much that would get me to switch.
That non-answer is
well,
says a lot.
That's
I like
pretty
that you're a bull
powerful,
on.
I know.
I like that you're a bull on Enphase, but I like to get at the heart of the thing, even
Yeah.
some negative. So, how many actual problems do you have? How many installs do you have, first of all? The number of Enphase installs, and how many problems have you had in total, whatever they were, smallest Wi-Fi, doesn't matter, that you had to send a truck out?
So we have over 100 installs. So I know there's other companies doing like 100 installs a year. So it's accelerating. Like we've already done 30 this year. So this year we're just starting to blow them out.
Right,
This is year
50% compounded, basically.
exactly. It's just really starting to blow. Like the first years we were just doing like one a month, which is whatever would fall into our lap as a remodeler. Now we're actively seeking them out, and so yeah, we've already have 30 under our belt this year, which is great. So that's fast for us. So you're talking, the average system size is 20, 25 modules. So you're talking, what is that? I can do math. 2,000 some inverters.
I'll take a
out there,
calculator out.
right?
So we have 25 modules times 100 homes approximately, 2,500
Yeah,
microinverters.
2,500
And
microinverters. Yeah.
how many of those?
We've had 4, I think.
Four
We had
microinverters that failed.
Yes, we've had
So
4
let me see. 4
that we had to
divided by
replace.
2,500 here. So
Yeah.
here you have 0.16. I think Enphase's failure rate is actually that. It's around there. I read 0.18. If I'm wrong, we can look it up and include a link on the bottom.
Isn't that
I
funny?
think that's their actual failure rates.
Or like a perfect
You're right in
snapshot of
the
their.
you're right in the margin of error. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we're
do
right
want to
there.
point out the other microinverters that once again I'm just being the devil's
That's fine.
advocate for a second because I would never buy this in my own house. This is NEP's microinverters, and they were touting them that they have long-term power production reliability with a failure rate of 0.05%. And you just pointed out that you have a failure rate of 0.16%. And I think Enphase is around there. I forgot what it was exactly, but it's around there
That sounds
as a
right.
known number. So is this, well, first let's talk about this, and then I have another question. Is this a problem that these other guys are saying they're actually 3 times more reliable? Technically, that's what it is, right?
About.
Yeah. People can. Another thing I've learned in this industry, people say a lot of things, and people say a lot
Also
of
the install
things
base,
in.
right? If those guys have
Yeah.
10 systems installed, and it
They
compared
just
to
came out. They have
Right.
0 systems
you
installed.
understand what I'm saying? So
What kind
of course you
data
have no failure. You have no
pool are
installs.
we? Yeah, no, this is insane. Like,
Failure rate is 0.
Can I give you another example of like, yeah, even if it's in writing, if it sounds too good to be true, SunPower is one of them. It's one of those dirty little secrets that is known in the industry. Is SunPower, they derate their own modules so that they can say that they have a lower degradation rate. Have you guys seen this?
Can you explain that?
No.
I'm not sure what that
So basically, SunPower advertises, I'm sure we can look this up, that they, over 20 years, they'll have a 90, I think it's like a 92%, you'll still have 92% of the day one power available after 20 years.
Oh,
It's like,
I
that
see.
is like
Yes.
insanely high for any module. But what they're actually doing is, it's not a 400 watt panel. It's like a 415 watt
I was
panel.
gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, that's how they do it. It's like, so I've had to explain that to my customers too. Don't get me wrong. I think SunPower cells are amazing. I think they do really good work. But that to me just doesn't seem quite fair.
I have a question about the California solar mandate. The one that in 2018 that all new buildings, all new installs had to
Yeah.
have that. How has that impacted your install base?
We haven't done any custom homes that fell under that jurisdiction since then. So
Well, can you tell us what the jurisdiction is, so people who don't know, just what is the mandate here?
the mandate is that any new construction in California, any new construction single family home, or probably multifamily too, but we just basically deal in the single family home market, has to have some type of solar system on the roof, and that also applies to ADUs. ADUs is an accessory dwelling unit. It's a granny flat, right? Another little house in your backyard, and actually kind of pushing this in San Diego County, and probably as so you've got it right there.
Yeah, so you can just
So yeah, okay. So it started in 2020. Yeah. So we built the last custom home we built, I think was the permit was pulled in 2019. So the home we built, we weren't subject to putting that on there. So I haven't had to do that. I have had people ask. Oh, I did do. Actually, that's not true. I did do a job where
You
a lady
lied.
was building, and they see, you get me to remember these things. This nice lady we worked for was building an ADU, and she's like, I have to put solar in. I have to do it. You were recommended to me by our designer. but what we did for her, she didn't want it on her ADU, right? She didn't want it because the ADU was kind of small. She's like, if I'm going to do this, I'll get a big enough system. Can I get a big enough system to support the ADU's usage and the house's usage? So we built her basically an extra large system on her house, and the city, this is actually the city of Vista, down here in San Diego County, in California. They said, yeah, you can totally do that. It doesn't have to be on the ADU as long as it's, on the property and supports that unit. So we
Assuming the ADU was a sub panel off the main,
Exactly. And that begs the question, if there was two separate meters, would they let you do that virtual net metering that we talked about before? It's like, hey, I want to do a certain percentage of this towards that meter. So it's a good question.
This slide here goes over how these guys, NEP, which remember, they have 0 installs probably, maybe 5, who knows, 10. But they have no clipping. And so this is getting a bit technical. Maybe you know about it. A lot of people don't understand that these microinverters actually clip. And Enphase clips too. In fact, I look at my charts, and I think I clip only certain days where it's not a big percentage of what happens. But can you go into this, because this says it's a PV power 750 watts, I believe this goes up to, and their dual goes 480 times 2 microinverters. So I think they have higher power output without clipping, and that's a big selling point for them. So is this truly a problem? This is my point. Like, is in San Diego, is this Enphase clipping an issue that people should worry about?
In a nutshell, no. Enphase actually has a white paper out on why clipping is really not an issue. In fact, they call it overpaneling, right? So you have a microinverter output wattage, right? And then you have a panel that could possibly exceed that. So the microinverter stops that from going over it. So instead of having a nice pretty curve, a parabola for the sunshine coming up and going down every day, it comes up and then it's got like the top cut off, it's flat, and then it comes back down. It just clips that top percentage off. But like you said, it only happens certain months a year, and actually like now would be the time when it happens. It's super sunny outside right now, and the temperatures aren't super hot yet, so the panels are producing a little more power because they have an opposite relationship with temperature and how much energy they put out. Colder it is, they make more. And the angle of the sun right now in San Diego, it's basically hitting right at those south-facing roofs at an 18-degree pitch. They're cranking. So yeah, we have some of our installs. Yeah, you will see some clipping. But when you run the math, and this is about math and numbers of return on investment, you're actually going to get a better return on investment by not upgrading those microinverters. Because now, like you said, you got to spend an extra, say, $1,500 to go to the next level, which maybe would reduce your clipping, those couple weeks a year or whatever it is, if that, and it's not worth the return on investment. That's actually your worst money spent on the system to save that a little bit of clipping. It ends up only, if you look in their white paper, and it actually gives different destinations like New York or Los Angeles or maybe Miami, it says like you're only going to gain like maybe 1% to 2% of production a year.
It's a diminished return.
It's a very, very small return. Yeah. And they actually encourage clipping. They said, look, clipping is not, and from most people's perspective, they see that clipping like, oh, I'm not getting all my power. You guys screwed me. What's going on? And that's happened to me. It's like, hey, look, Dave, what is this all about? I thought I installed this size system. And I was like, well, actually, and now I'm so happy that Enphase has that document. I'm like, hey, here's why. And then she's like, oh, okay. I said, because we sell a system, I said, look, we run our models, and we use Aurora to do our modeling for, hey, this is how many kilowatt hours you're going to get a year. I said, look, we sell the system. Hey, this is what you should get. And we find that Aurora is a little bit conservative, actually, about 4 to 5%. You're going to produce more than that. I said, look, if for some reason you don't meet this after a year, okay, then we'll talk, right? But that's never been a problem.
And I assume with as technology progresses, they're probably going to IQ9s and so forth will probably be higher output anyway.
They will.
Moving forward in the future, the idea of having solar panels, artificially or connected to a roof does seem a bit mechanical. What are your thoughts on the Tesla solar roof? Just basically your thoughts on the Tesla installs, the solar roof technology that they're pushing, the future for solar roof technology, as well as if this does take over, which if I had to build a house from scratch, I'd probably go with a solar roof. Do you think that it is something that Enphase will get into in the future? If they did, is that something that you would ever consider installing a solar roof?
We do have a general contractor's license too. So we of course do the roofing and the solar. We give them like a blanket warranty, of course. It's always better to do it with one company. So yeah, I would be interested in a product like that. I do have some problems with that product. So before we get into Tesla Solar Roof, let's just talk about Tesla a little bit, if that's okay. Tesla typically has a much lower price point than what we are installing, or basically any other competitor, as far as cost per watt installed on the roof. You can go on their website and see, you can get yourself basically a
quote,
fairly a ballpark estimate quote of what it would cost you, and it ends up being a lot less. I think it's like 10 to 20% less. Like, it's kind of discouraging, to be honest. It's like, I'm like, how is this
invest
even...
in Tesla.
Yeah, no.
From what I understand,
SolHome,
they're installing them at a loss.
Yeah, is that what it is?
From what I understand, they're installing them at a loss.
Thank God. I'm like, how is this possible?
They want to grab market share.
Well, right now it's all about market share with them. It's not about...
and it's also, they're upselling you. Most of these people have cars, right? So if they have 30% margins on the cars, and then they get a little percentage of you, now they've locked you in. It's more of a moat, and it points to a future where they're trying to do like a decentralized electrical grid, and they need a lot of installations close to each other. But that
is very good to know. So that explains that, and I am totally going to use that the next time SolHome goes up against a Tesla quote. And you know what really wins us over, and what I have used of how to get the job, basically, as a salesperson, is, you get what you pay for, and that is true on the back end of Tesla. I don't know if you've looked up any of their customer service reviews. It is garbage. Like, good luck getting someone. Yeah, is hot dumpster fire, smell it a mile away, garbage. It's horrible. So anytime I go up against Tesla, I'm like, just see what happens when you need service. Good luck. Yeah, we're here, we're in the community, we'll come and fix your thing and take care of you. So we have yet to lose a job to Tesla, even though they are that much cheaper to us, because of how bad the reviews are on their customer service.
That's really
no, there was one guy who installed Tesla before I met him, so I guess that doesn't count.
You give him a pass.
Yeah, he's okay. He's like, I use Tesla. I've used them before. They're fine, whatever.
But still, to Carlos's question about the solar roof technology itself.
So yes.
Right, like in 10 years, in 10 years, you're probably not going to be slapping, 4x4 or 4x5 panels and screwing them into someone's roof, right?
I think I am. So that's a BIPV, right? Building integrated photovoltaics. I think that's great. I think it's really cool. I think it's architecturally pleasing, more than, like you said, slapping panels on a roof. But I think it does, like anything, it's got pros and cons. I think serviceability is going to be a huge issue, as far as like fixing problems with the system. So you're looking at these Tesla roofs are essentially tempered glass, shingles with solar panels built into them. They all clip together. How easily is that going to be to maintain, especially if it's in a string? If part of that string gets cut out, that whole part of that string is now not working.
Sounds terrible, actually.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not buying it on that one. And the other thing for me is, I would love to see how in the world they are satisfying the Firecode requirements. And I think this is one of the main reasons why we haven't seen them go really, really mainstream. And Carlos, you asked me what kind of market share they have. I think it's almost nothing. I haven't even seen one, at least in San Diego County. It's really, really low. But yeah, the fire requirements, and they're really big on the fire setbacks.
Can you just explain to the audience what the Firecode is? I'm assuming you mean like the minimum space you need around the panels for.
Right? Yes, yeah, I was just going to get into that. So fire setbacks, here in California right now, it's it used to be so you have a ridge of a house, right? That's the very peak of the house, right? You used to have to be 3 feet away on either side of that ridge, and that's when you could start your install, your arrays. But now, a few years back, they actually renegotiated that, and now it's 18 inches. So you have 1 3-foot path across the ridge, which is great. It frees up more space for us to do a little bit bigger things, and you need to have a 3-foot path coming from the street side, and then another alternate 3-foot path to get to the roof. So from any other side of the house. So, but the whole point of having those paths is so that the first responders and firefighters can get to the ridge. You need to get to the ridge. Why do they need to get to the ridge of the house? They need to cut holes in it to vent the roof, to get all the smoke out, so they can get in there and save lives and do the great work that they do, right? So, how are we getting a chainsaw through tempered glass? How does that work?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah, I don't know how safe it is. Any install, at least out here in California, or that we've done, the first thing you got to worry about is rapid shutdown, right? RSD, rapid shutdown requirements. So if first responders come, they come and look at your electrical panel. There is a placard. Every install we do, there is a red placard with white lettering engraved in plastic. This has solar, this warning
Solar
labels,
yeah.
Turn it down. This is hit this button. It'll turn this off, turn this breaker off. It'll turn it down. So yeah, that's going to be an issue basically. But with a non-solar roof where you have panels you can actually see, you're not going to cut through those with a chainsaw, right? But with, I'm sure there are setback requirements, because the Tesla system has like just dummy shingles, right, that don't have the photovoltaics built into them. And I'm sure I would think they're subject to the same setbacks, like the actual slope part of it doesn't stop from, whatever 18 inches down on the side. But yeah, that's then how are you going to see what's a dummy tile? I don't know. I just have a lot of questions about how that works. So I guess I'm not down on it, but I would like to know how are they meeting these requirements? And I think there's a reason why they're just not super mainstream yet. And you asked me if Enphase could get into that. I don't know how that works from a microinverter level.
Well, I think Enphase is becoming vertically integrated. We can see that, right?
Yes.
Maybe you could speak to that.
Yeah.
They're going to be the home everything, right? Home charging, home energy. We have the batteries. We have the inverters. We have they just bought a company for the car charging.
Yeah, they bought Clipper
Why
Creek,
can't they own the
right?
solar, the whole stack? I don't understand. They're going to own the whole stack, I think. I think that's what's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, I'm super stoked that they bought Clipper Creek because we do install car chargers. So, and this is another reason why, your viewers and anybody can be bullish on Enphase, or really any solar technology industry, because now, solar is now the new oil companies, right? Just like the utilities. When I say we, SolHome, our installers, we are now providing this energy that is powering people's cars. It's happened. Of every system I've sold in the last 2 months, since the gas prices went crazy, every conversation has included electric vehicles. Everyone, either we're going to do it, let's add some more panels for when we get that electric car, or hey, we got one on order, it's coming. I got my F-150 Lightning coming. Can we add? And I'll do the calculations like, hey, you need an extra 3,000 whatever kilowatt hours a year to drive 12,000 miles. This is how many panels you can do that. Boom. Guess what? You have now paid for your fuel for the next 20, 25 years.
Well, you've only paid for 10 years and then it's free.
Right.
Yes, exactly. So yeah.
And every year after that, it's you're lowering your average, like DCA.
Yeah. So check it out. I actually did the math on that. So I actually have an electric car. I have an electric Kia. I got the Kia Niro EV because Tesla's they were out of their credits, right? So I didn't get the Tesla. The Kia's been great. I get an average of 3.5 to 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour. So I did the math. I said, okay, the average customer with a decently south-facing roof would have to spend about another $6,300, and that's before the tax credit, the 26% tax credit, to have enough to generate enough power over a year to get themselves 12,000 miles, right? Which is a decent amount of driving, right? I think it's about average-ish, right?
In LA, especially, or California.
Yeah. So the return. So what that turned into, and I boiled it down, if you take that money and extrapolate it over 25 years, which is the minimum life you're going to get over this system, because it's warranty for 25 years, it better last longer than that, right? It turned out to be about 2 cents per mile in fuel. You know how much it is if you're getting about 20 miles a gallon at $5.50 a gallon? It's 28 cents a mile.
Yeah,
Right,
14
it's 14 times
reduction
cheaper. It's like a no freaking brainer. So now we are now the oil companies.
And then it's 0 cents. This is the other part that I know you explain to people. Like, this is the problem that they have. They don't know math, because after 10 years, it's 0 cents a mile.
Well,
you've already paid for it.
Yeah.
Yes,
you
you paid for the energy up front.
Yeah, whether you want to average it over 25 years or over 10 years, either way, I mean, you just can't argue with the numbers. It is incredibly cheap. It's just coming like a steamroller, you guys, and no one's going to stop it. It's just too cheap. There's too much monetary incentive to go with the electric vehicles, go with the solar, the batteries. You can store your energy, you can charge your car with them if you need to. It all integrates, right? And Enphase is right there. They bought Clipper Creek, so now they're going to be qualifying us like SolHome, we do electric car charger installs. Of course we do, right? Because it pairs well with solar and storage. So now that's going to be one of their qualifiers on like their Enphase installer network, is they're going to have a little logo saying, yes, we're EV installer, car charger installer certified, along with, we have our little icon saying, yes, we're solar and storage certified. So yeah, they're trying to get those leads too. And you talk about vertical integration, they are using our footage to generate leads. So not only are they trying to be vertically integrated with the products, they're trying to actually generate their own leads for us. Through that platform. Yeah, so that is a brand new thing that's coming out.
They're helping the installers
find
generating
clients.
leads for them.
Yes.
Is SolarEdge doing something similar?
I have no idea. I don't think so, but we can look
still on
that
hold.
up.
He's still on hold from that one.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Return your call.
I just want to circle back to this solar roof thing. Okay. It seems like that is where it's going. Like eventually that is where it's going. These panels are going to get smaller. Microinverters are going to get smaller and smaller. And so my question would be, do you think, or is there a path where Enphase can get into this? Or is that a point when Enphase could actually lose market share? Is it a new startup that's going to come out that would compete with Tesla? In other words, like, is Tesla the tortoise in this race that could eventually take over? Do you see Enphase getting into that? And then you as an installer, what problems or benefits is that for you to now suddenly become a general contractor installing roofs for people?
Well, I think you just nailed it, is that you would have to have multiple licenses, and now you're dealing with multiple trades, right? Now, solar and storage, they do go hand in hand. A lot of the qualified installers in our area, they do both, right? They do go hand in hand. But I mean, when you start getting into more building integrated photovoltaics, is, well, are we dealing with windows? What other type of framing are we dealing with to support these systems? And it seems like you would need a lot more knowledge of the structure of the house, other than, I can put some bolts into a rafter or a truss, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's a really good question. And I think we're so far away from that, to be honest with you, because I'm just not seeing anything pushing that direction. I haven't put a lot of thought into what that looks like for me and for SolHome, let alone Enphase.
So basically, right, just to make it clear for investor public here, we have 10 years of runway before we even have to care about this.
That is my perspective. I do not see that anywhere on the radar as this being any type of real disruptor to the market.
And as an installer, it's something you're just not interested in.
No, it's just not there.
Well, also the homeowner. Imagine the homeowner. Wait, hold on. I got to replace my whole roof.
But it wouldn't be replacement. We're talking about a new install.
Well, fine, new construction, but we have 250 million single-family homes just waiting there for solar. Like, if you talk about the new construction, we're far behind new construction, as you can tell.
Oh yeah, very, very.
There's not enough
only because
homes.
if other states follow the California mandate, or especially in the sunnier side of the U.S.
I think the mandate will change where you have to do solar on your house at some point, no matter what.
In the U.S., yes, total. But it could become a mandate, part of the mandate, that it has to be an integrated solar roof and not have the panel. It could, they could do that. They could do that. In which case, it could be a new startup, or that's where Tesla would have an advantage.
That's really interesting.
I don't think American building codes don't try to tell you what materials to use unless you're in an HOA. That's different. HOA might tell you to do what you're saying. I think. I don't know if you want to answer this, but if you want to go a little bit into this.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
That would be. Yeah, sorry. Yes, I'm the building guy here. Yeah, sure. Yeah, man. It's so far off. It's like I kind of hesitate, I think, to speculate on that, because I have no idea what that looks like. As far as mandating solar on all roofs in America, I think to be honest, my opinion, I think we're very far off from that happening. If it ever does happening, there are unfortunately still a lot of people who are not into being forced to do things that they don't want to do on their own house. You know what I'm saying?
Even now, I think the solar mandate only mandates a 4 kilowatt hour system. Like, you could put up 4 or 5 panels, and you could it's like buying a hybrid
car.
You're
right. Yep, it does not require much.
Pointless, and you can get around it by installing a very small system. But
yes,
it's at least a step in the right direction.
Well, okay, so check it out. So listen to this. You want to talk about solar mandate? The California mandate, it's a bit of a catch-22, because they're now mandating you have to install some type of solar system on a new construction home, but yet the new net metering 3.0 terms that they're proposing are going to heavily essentially fine solar customers. So like these people building these homes, they don't have a choice to be a part of that policy. As far as this net metering 3.0, they're talking about charging X amount of dollars per kilowatt that you install on your house. So I think it's anywhere between $8 and $16 a kilowatt, and on top
So
of
that's
that,
like $40 usually, 40-50 added to
yeah,
your bill approximately.
right. So it's really devaluing that solar. It almost becomes like not worth it. It's some crossover point. And on top of that, now the new net metering policies are subject to these new time of use rates, which have such a higher delta between on peak and off peak that you're not getting nearly as much return on investment for the credits you generate when the sun is up. So yeah, it's a huge catch-22. It's like, well, you're forcing people to do this, but at the same time, you've got the CPUC, which is the California Public Utilities Commission, de-incentivizing that solar. So it's kind of working against those mandates. So I actually think it was in the news not too long ago. They were talking about revisiting that mandate because it's like, okay, we shouldn't force these people into this if it's less favorable than if they were to not have it at all. Even with the current net metering policy, you're de-incentivized from doing that because once you eat away at your bill, all you're left is with in SDG&E, it's about $10, $11 a month is those non-bypassable charges, which it's a very small amount. And then once you eat away at your retail charges, to get rid of that $10, $11 a month, they're now only paying you the wholesale rate on the electricity, which last time I checked was about 2 cents a kilowatt hour. It would take a tremendous system to eat away $10. So it's just not worth it, right? You just want to build a system big enough to just cancel out your usage. Anything beyond that, it's a waste of money. So it's essentially keeping the market in check at that point. So that used to be a thing though, Carlos, where net metering 1.0, and even in before that 10 years ago, yeah, they would cut you a check, that has gone away. So
Thanks for joining us. Of course, we've learned a lot as usual. And do you want to just tell us one last time where people can find you?
Yeah, you can go to mysolhome.com, and that currently does redirect to We Build San Diego, because we're currently just transitioning over to a new brand. But hopefully in the next couple of weeks, the new website will be up, and you guys can check us out there. Fill out the contact form. Love to reach out to you if you're in the, love to hear from you if you're in the Southern California area. We can definitely. Nothing else we can talk about solar. I love it.
Well, guys,
Thank
if you like this video, hit like and subscribe. Definitely visit David's channel and hit the notification bell to be notified when future videos like this go live. Thanks for watching.
Take care. Thanks, guys.